Tak, cześć wszystkim. Let's switch to English language. I'm Ruslan Korniichuk. Hey, PyTech Summit. And I want to talk about architecture as code with Python. Quick check with you. Let's check our chart. Schneider Electric versus Schindler, because I'm a Schneider Electric employee, Schneider Electric Poland. Please type to the chat which country is this company from. I mean Schneider Electric. Yes, of course, I'm from Schneider Electric Poland, but Schneider Electric is a global company like IBM, for example. IBM is American company. So which country is this company from? I mean Schneider Electric. Please type to the chat and I will check how it works. I'm Ukrainian software engineer and artificial intelligence architect at Schneider Electric. And let's check France. Yep, exactly, absolutely right answer. And another quick check and question: are elevators our most popular product? Are elevators our most popular product? Yes or no? And we will quickly check. And also we have answer Germany, and no, Schneider Electric sounds so German, but in practice it's French company. And comparison with Schindler, Schindler is Swiss company, but it's standard mistake. Schneider versus Schindler. And let's check about elevators. Yep, exactly. No, Schindler produces elevators. Schneider Electric responsible for power, energy management. And also, I will share slides at the end of my presentation. You don't need to make notes, screenshots. Just wait a little bit and I will share my slides with you. Also, we have a contest today. We have presents from AWS, Amazon Web Services, and I will share fake slides with you today. So I need your attention. And when you noticed fake slide today, believe me, you absolutely quickly understand, oh, this one is absolutely fake slide. You need to just type to the chat fake. And together with PyTech Summit, we will try to find you. If you can message me, for example, via LinkedIn today or email, no worries. Yep, you can speed up this process of delivery. $25 Amazon Web Services AWS voucher to you. So one more time, when you noticed fake slide, just click, excuse me, just type to the chat fake. And believe me, yep, you understand this one, it's absolutely fake slide. Yep, and please be active in comments. I have comments here with me, and time by time I will check. If you have problem with the stream, for example, with audio, just type to the chat audio. If internet, just type internet or slides. So our admins quickly check the cause of problem, and we will fix everything quickly. So let's start with introduction. And you can see here infrastructure as code and architecture as code. It's Google trend. Blue one is infrastructure as code. For example, CloudFormation, Terraform, and I hope you know well infrastructure as code topic, because I will talk today about architecture as code, not infrastructure as code. And red one, you can see architecture as code. And yes, of course, as of now, infrastructure as code much more popular topic than architecture as code. And let's check also diagram as code. And to the chat, please type some types of diagram, for example, like flowchart. If you know any diagrams, types, names, please type to the chat and we will check a little bit better. And this Google Trends show diagram as code, as of now, even more popular than infrastructure as code. And yes, of course, much more popular than architecture as code. because architecture as code is subtopic of diagram as code. And please type to the chat some diagrams, names, types, you know. So one more time, I will talk today about architecture as code mainly. We will cover a little bit quickly diagram as code, so you will know some toolset. And infrastructure as code, it's not our topic for today. And yes, of course, we will show you how draw your architecture diagram with Python programming language, because Python Tech Summit today. And why this topic? Yep, and we have some answers like UML diagrams, exactly, great example. And why this topic for today? Because of COVID and Russia-Ukrainian war in Ukraine, I forget to check in time the technology radar, and I'm started from October 2020 technology radar, and I'm noticed topic number 8, diagram as code. If you don't know technology radar, when you see something in code, just be careful with this one. Assess, you need to check, train yourself. Trial, you need to implement, and adopt, you need to check then everything in adopt area implemented in your company. So I noticed this here, this diagram as code topic in trial. It's mean you need to work on implementation. And for one of our project on premises to cloud migration, I'm selected this topic, diagram as code and architecture as code. And also you can see cycle around number 8. It's mean no movement to left or to right. Movement to right, it's mean it's good technology. Be careful, start testing, start implementing, check, then everything is implemented. A movement from from right to left, it's mean it's bad topic, outdated, not trend, not sexy topic. Here we cannot see these examples. But NFT, for example, from my point of view, it's like bad topic as of now. I'm moving to be careful with area to hold area. And next, when you receive my slides, you can just click on this diagram, or you can check this link if you want to know more about technology radar reports. And let's talk about infrastructure as code versus diagram as code and versus architecture as code. I hope you know well infrastructure as code, Terraform with JSON format, for example, AWS CloudFormation with YAML or JSON format, serverless application model, some cloud development kit. Please be careful, it's not SDK. SDK is software development kit like Boto3 library for Python programming language. Cloud development kit is an opportunity to write your infrastructure with Python code, not with JSON or YAML. For example, virtual machines, load balancer, databases. And diagram as code, you mentioned in chat, UML, flowchart, graphics. Yep, exactly. Also, we can mention SQL diagrams, software architecture diagrams, any charts like pie chart, for example. And we can use tools like diagrams, illograph, mermaid, structurized DSL. I will talk a little bit more later about this toolset. And with this toolset, you can draw your diagram with code, not manually with Draw.io website, for example. And our topic for today is architecture as code, and main toolset is diagrams Python library, and main idea is visualization of system architecture. So concrete diagrams, system architecture, as of now, mainly cloud system architecture diagram with Python code, not with YAML, not with JSON, not with DSL, just with Python. But let's start from diagram as code and next move to architecture as code. You can find information about AaC doctor or AaC doc written in Python diagram, and in practice is just set of ASCII doctor extensions. So it's out of my topic for today. Next tool is CloudGram, and you need to know domain-specific language to draw your diagrams with CloudGram. Ditto, again, you need to know domain-specific language. Graphics, many thanks. Somebody mentioned today graphics in chat. Radoslav mentioned graphics in chat. Very popular, for example, to draw graph charts with Python language. Illograph, we need to know YAML format. Sounds a little bit better than some domain-specific language like Plan UML language. Mermaid, Markdown inspired syntaxes, and library for diagram creation. Plant UML with Plant UML domain-specific DCL language, structured DCL, and web sequence diagrams. A lot of names, library names. Let's check how we can split all these names. And we can easily split these libraries to static diagrams creation and to interactive diagrams creation. Statics mean PNG, SVG files. Interactive diagrams mean mainly browser-based. So you can integrate this code to your website, embedded HTML, and play with these interactive diagrams. And we will check in a moment how it works. And static diagram, it's D2, graphics, mermaid, plant UML, web sequence diagrams. And interactive, it's, from my point of view, the best. It's Ilograph and CloudGram. And we will check in the moment. Here we can see plant UML with plant UML DCL language. So you can see it looks a little bit like JSON, I can say. But in practice, it's oven plant UML language. And with this code, we can draw diagrams like this one, for example. Do we have something better? Web sequence diagram looks like this one. We have again DCL domain-specific language, and we can draw with this 6 line of code something like this. To draw software architecture, yep, I can expect we need much more code. And also we need some premium license. Move forward, we have Mermaid tool. It's live editor, but also we have Markdown inspired syntax here, DCL. And if you want to draw something more complicated, for a complex, for example, C4 model, we can use C4 context and we can draw something like this. Let's quickly check how it looks in browser. Just 1 second. Ouch. Sorry, technical trouble with PowerPoint presentation. Okay, maybe not today, not Mermaid today, but we will check in a moment how works our links in presentation. And from interactive toolset like structurized DSL, personally I cannot recommend this tool because not a lot of contributors you can find. It's created by a C4 creator, author, C4 model. I can recommend you this tool, for example, yep, and this link looks well. It's Cloudgram. You can see code from the left side. Again, it's DCL language, and interactive. It's mean you can drag and drop all these icons from your code, and you can use iframe, HTML frame, like embedded HTML to your website. I have already tested with ghost web frame. I can say it's like WordPress, but open source also as WordPress, and you can easily deploy in AWS your, for example, blog website. So interactive, not static. It's not PNG or SVG. Yep, we need to use HTML, embedded HTML, like this one. And move back to website. And second recommended diagram as code tool for interactive diagrams, it's Illograph. To create something more complicated, we need this type of code. And please quickly type to the chat format language from this left side. For example, like Python, Golang. If you recognize this language format, please type to the chat. And we have first full start with fake. No, as of now, we don't have any fake slides. Yep, and this one with a broken link to browser. Sorry, my fault, but it's not fake slide. So if you can recognize format language from left side, this one, just type to the chat. And what does it mean interactive? Yep, looks like YAML. Michal Dobzhansky, many thanks. Please contact me today. I will try to find you too, just to deliver your 25 US dollar AWS voucher. Just 1 second. Michal Dobzhansky, many thanks. Exactly, we can use YAML, not DCL, domain specific language. And what does it mean interactive? We can create multiple diagrams like this one, and we can easily interact with our diagram. Looks cool. As of now, I don't have experience with Illograph. I want to check how it looks. Idea is create cloud agnostic architecture, like tab in Illograph. Next, create AWS architecture and Azure architecture, and try to compare how it looks and play with this high-level architecture. Move back to our slides. So we have for static diagram creation tools like Merbait, highly recommended, and for interactive diagrams creation tools like Illograph and Cloudgram. Another quick topic, I noticed some migration from Terraform and CloudFormation to Cloud Development Kit, and we can name this trend as Terraform to SDK or JSON YAML to Python. For example, in Illograph, we can use YAML format, and I believe much better to replace this YAML format to Python. Personally, I can say YAML is much more human readable than XML, for example, but Python is much more lovable than YAML, JSON, XML, and DCL languages. And finally, we need some problem statement, but I am still talking more than 15 minutes about architecture as code. And we have already discussed diagrams as code. Architecture as code, it's part of diagrams as code. So from my point of view, we have some few issues. So please again type to the chat answer on this question. Do you use UML? Please type to the chat. Do you use UML, yes or no? And I will appreciate if you can type UML, not just yes, no, but UML. Yep, just type UML if you use UML, because I have more questions for you today. And we have some answers, like only one person as of now, Lukasz, using UML. But in practice, from my point of view, around 20% of companies still use UML diagrams. It's much more than I expected, to be honest. So another question for you: do you use Microsoft Visio? So it's tool when you can create some diagrams. And another question: if yes, just type Microsoft Visio. If no, type no. Visio no. Yep, many thanks, Krzysztof. And one more question for you: do you use Draw.io tool? Formerly diagrams.net website, and Draw.io now. If yes, type Draw.io, or Draw.io no. Yep, Philip, exactly. From my point of view, it's extremely popular, especially for software architecture, for solution architecture. Yep, and we have only Draw.io yes answers, yes or no, because it's much more usable, I can say, compared to Microsoft Visio, for example. And sorry, one more question, but it's last question in this topic. Do you use whiteboard? So whiteboard, markers to draw something, for example, diagrams to discuss some topics. And whiteboard, it also can be like flip chart, for example. It doesn't matter. Flip chart, whiteboard, whiteboard, yes, whiteboard. Thanks, Krzysztof. Code, Bob. Yep, exactly. Whiteboard, best for some use cases. And move forward. So from my point of view, my problem statement is UML, PowerPoint, Visio, and even Draw.io are not good enough for engineers like me and you to create system architecture in a 5-way. We are talking about system architecture. We are talking for solution for engineers. And personally, I want to replace PowerPoint, Visio, and even Draw.io. And I need more fun. I want to enjoy this process. If you believe in this problem statement, type something to the chat. If no, again, type something to the chat. Like, I don't believe in this problem. I don't care. No worries about architecture as code solution. Personally, I believe in this problem statement. And let's check, do we have some solutions? And another one chat, yes, of course, as that architect or person, I don't need architecture as software. So that's why I need to promote a little bit Come Back Alive Foundation. If you want to support Ukraine now with weapon, for example, with Bayraktars, you can donate to the main foundation in Ukraine, Come Back Alive. Very easily to check, verify this organization. And you can just use your standard bank credit or debit card to send a donation. And yes, of course, this slide is not fake slide. No worries, it's not fake slide, but please be with me. And when you notice fake slide, just type to the chat fake slide, or just fake. It can be quickly. Yep, and solution for my problem statement is architecture as code. easily to create architecture diagrams, compare differences between two different architecture diagrams, quickly compare diagrams, version control with Git, collaborate on, integrate into continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. And you know what to do. And we are waiting. Yep. And we have first answer. Ouch, I have real problem to read this one. Something like Chochik. Yep, so Chochik, if you can find me, please find me. If I will try to find you and delivery 25 US dollar AWS voucher to you, Chochik. And yes, of course, you can describe what does it mean, or just to type your name and family name to the chat. And many thanks for your activity. And yes, of course, this one it's fake slide. Many thanks. Solution architecture as code. Personally, I believe we can integrate with version controllers like Git and GitHub, GitLab toolset. I can visualize architectures that exist, for example, with Cloud Discovery tool. So I have some projects in my team. I want to see how looks architecture. I don't want to spend time to talk to previous architects, lead engineers. I can use Cloud Discovery tool and I can visualize how looks system architecture of solutions that exists. Cloud agnostic, same as Terraform, for example. No worries, you can draw architecture diagram for AWS, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Azure, Google, GCP, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba, Oracle, whatever. I can believe we can reuse the source code, for example, how we're reusing CloudFormation or Terraform templates for VPC creation, for subnets, internet gateway. We don't need to rewrite everything from scratch. We can reuse. In Poland, it's better for tax deduction, powiększony koszt uzyskania przychodu, PKUP in Polish language, because the best solution is write some code. If you want, for example, 50% tax deduction, you need to write code. You don't must to write, yeah, but much easier if you just write the code. And if you architect, you don't write code a lot, but with architecture code, you can write code for your diagrams. And for tax deduction, it's absolutely great situation. For example, I'm personally use architecture as code for tax deduction here in Poland because it's real Python code, unique Python code. So expect coding. I like coding in Python. If you like coding in Python, please use architecture as code. And disadvantages, it's more for engineers because we need to write our code in Python programming language, not in plain text DCL or not in YAML or just draw manually. For non-engineers, Draw IO is the best solution. For engineers, architecture is code. It's much better for upfront design rather than long-lived documentation because I don't want to change time by time my documentation. And last one, whiteboard is better for prototyping. Somebody mentioned in chat, yep, and I'm absolutely agree. For some cases like prototyping, whiteboard, flip chart, it's absolutely best solution. And finally, move forward to our diagrams Python library. So we have already talked about diagrams as code, like Illograph, Cloudgram, Let's check one more tool, diagrams Python lib for static diagrams creation, like PNG, SVG files. And you can find on GitHub diagrams Python library, more than 25 plus K stars as of now. Diagram is code for prototyping cloud system architectures. But no worries, you can easily prototype on-premises architectures, not only cloud like AWS, Azure, and GCP. And that's how looks Python code. Let me start laser point. And first slide is just a quick look how it can work for you. From left side, we have our Python code. From right side, we have result. For example, 5 EC2 machines, 1 RDS, and 1 load balancer. Like around 10 lines of code, and we have our diagram created. And let's check step by step. First, we need to use diagram class. And you can see this diagram class here. We can provide name like example2 from right side. It can be empty string, yes, of course. We can provide file name like example2, but also we can skip, yes, of course. Out format, we can convert to one format like PNG or to multiple formats in one time. For example, PNG SVG, PNG dot for graphics. We can select direction from left to right, from right to left, from top to bottom, from bottom to top. We will check a little bit later. If we need much more options for our diagram, like background, for example, we can use graphics attributes because looks like diagram Python library based on graphics Python library. And show false mean when we create a PNG file or SVG file, do not open this PNG file. Show true means please create PNG file and open in your operating system this file. So diagram class, we need to import this diagram and provide if we want name, file name, output, format, direction, and any graph with attributes. One more time, if you want to extend the list of these attributes, please use standard graph width attributes. Move next. We have something like nodes. A node is second object representing a node or system component. And node object consists of 3 parts. You can see here, first it's provider like AWS, Azure, GCP. Resource, for example, compute, databases, and type, for example, EC2. EC2 is Amazon Web Services virtual machines. So here we can see one node, it's EC2 node from AWS provider, from component resource named as EC2. So we create our diagram, example 3. You can see this text here, file name example 3. Default output format should be PNG format, show false, and just one node EC2. That's why we can see only one icon from right side. Next idea, custom nodes, because we can find some providers like AWS, on-premises, Azure, GCP, but sometimes we need custom icons, custom nodes. For example, Tableau. If you cannot find in diagram library this node, you can easily provide this name, like Tableau here. You can say like title and pass to this logo. For example, Tableau underscore logo dot png. Absolutely readable idea. Custom diagram, import custom class, and provide this title for this icon. It can be empty string, yes, of course, and this path to file this logo, like Tableau logo PNG. Yep, and next component is data flow. So how can we connect our nodes like icons, Elastic Load Balancer, EC2 virtual machine, RDS, relational database service, and S3 object storage or key value storage. And you can see this type of arrow here and this type, I can say, of line here. So this line here, it's minus, and this arrow is shift. And please quickly type to the chat. Sorry, let me find chat quickly. My fault. Please type to the chat why we need to use this construction, why we cannot remove and use like this right side. And we have like question, please mention shift characters. Yep, one more time. Shift characters, it's mean arrow from left to right, from right to left, and minus dash, it's mean just line between nodes. But please type to the chat. I hope you know Python well, why we need to use construction like this one, because it's just from left to right. Elastic Load Balancer EC2, Elastic Load Balancer EC2, EC2 RDS, EC2 RDS, RDS S3, RDS S3. Equal question from Samsung A20e, lower or greater. We don't need to use because we have just arrows left to right and we have line with dash minus. You can check how it works, but in practice, you don't need this character in your diagram syntaxes. Just dash minus and shift, left, right, shift. But many thanks, Samsung A20e, for this question. Yep, and Michal Dobzhansky, many thanks again for right answer. Exactly something to do with order of operators. Because of Python, higher priority is dash minus and lower priority is shift. If you want to do it step by step, yep, we need to use this construction because of Python. And to be honest, it's a little bit crazy for this library, yeah, but we need to just survive with this one because we Python developers, we are engineers. So no worries. In practice, it's not so hard. When you see in your diagrams, it's not step by step created. Yep, you forget about priorities, orders. Just check. That data flow one more time, shift and dash minus characters. And yes, of course, we have clusters. Here you can see this blue cluster, DB cluster. We need just import our cluster class here. And inside our DB cluster, we have DB primary and the primary connected to RDS replicas. Primary, replica 1, replica 2, replica 1, replica 2, primary. So DB primary, it's RDS node. You can find RDS node here. And replica 1, replica 2, it's again RDS nodes, but with title replica 1 and replica 2. And we want to connect DB primary to both replica 1 and replica 2. Yep, that's why you can find this square brackets here. And our data flow shift from left to right, and we can find arrow from DNS to, let me check, it's ECS, Elastic Container Service, and from ECS, Elastic Container Service, to our DB primary. And we have our cluster. So diagrams, nodes, cluster, data flow. And move forward is, of course, we have nested clusters. We have our main blue cluster event flows, and inside this cluster we have nested clusters event workers and processing. So idea inside our primary master cluster, put our sub member cluster. And we can name this event workers or processing, and yes, of course, we can use empty string value. No worries. And inside event workers, we have Elastic Container Service worker 1 and worker 2, working 1 and worker 2. Second subcluster processing, Lambda serverless processing 1, processing 2, or processor 1, processor 2. And main cluster, primary cluster, it's event flow, and you can find this event flow. One more time, diagram class here, cluster, excuse me, subclusters, data flow, like shift from left to right, and you can see these arrows from left to right. And nodes, we are using ECS, Elastic Container Service, EKS, Kubernetes, Lambda serverless, Redshift, data warehouse, simple queue services, and S3 object storage. Yep, and sorry, my fault. Let me quickly check. Do we have some questions as of now? Yep, and a question from Samsung A20e. Can we have arrow to both sides, left and right? Yes, of course, we can. And here you can find, for example, from handlers to store and handlers from DV. Yep, so we need just write construction two times, and you can find arrows in both side. For example, from let me check this one. Type from DNS to web, and from web to DNS. And we talked a little bit about cloud discovery. If you have some projects with some code and infrastructure, and you don't have documentation like high-level design, low-level design, HLD, LLD, you can use cloud discovery, and you can visualize your infrastructure with cloud discovery. And cloud discovery based on diagram library, I hope we can expect. So great, good idea, check how it works. Unfortunately, personally, I don't have experience with cloud discovery, but my idea is to check how it works with architecture that exists. And move forward to closing slides, 5 more minutes. Now you can take a screenshot or photo with this URL. No worries, it's not fake slide. URL 24.me-pts. If you know what does it mean, PTS, type to the chat, please. And with this link, you can easily download my slides. This deck URL 24.me dash capitalize PTS, and let's check if you know this abbreviation. What does it mean? PTS. I will check in the chat in a moment. And my idea was use PTS abbreviation for PyTech Summit. PyTech Summit, yes, of course. But also I noticed that PTS is also post-traumatic stress. So if you have some stress today, you know what to do. Just download this pitch deck URL 24.me dash capitalize PTS. If you need code with examples from my slides, in my slides, you can find this slide and you can click on this image and download from GitHub. No worries. And a question from Michal, is an easy way render output live? My idea to solve this requirement to use Jupyter Notebook, Jupyter Lab. So you can easily execute code in your Jupyter Notebook cell and re-render your diagram. That's my proposal. Or you can just easily use show attribute with true value and just immediately open new version. But my proposal is Jupyter Lab, Jupyter Hub, Jupyter Notebook. And yes, of course, how you can find me, just use LinkedIn. In LinkedIn, you can click contact info and you can find my email address, mobile number, no worries. I will deliver presents for Michal today, Dobrzansky, and for hard one, Chochik user. And yes, of course, we have time for more questions today. And we have admin. Yes, of course. And I hope admin finds some not answered as of now questions. Let me just quickly find. Sorry, one more second. StreamYard. Yep. And I can see some questions. Are there some kind of annotation you can use for classes to make granular diagrams of interactions between them without creating separate file for graphs? For this idea, you need to use interactive diagrams tools like Illograph or structurized DCL with C4 model. So my main idea of C4 model and structurized DSL, it's some connections between diagrams. And the same for illograph. It's connections between diagrams. So if you have sub-component and you change something, you need to automatically recreate your high-level design, for example. And with tools like illograph or structurized DCL, you don't need to care about these dependencies. You change something in one diagram and solution change this component node in every diagrams. With diagrams Python library, to be honest, I don't have answer how to do it. My recommendation is use dedicated toolset. And one more questions. Are there some kind of, no, it's not new question, sorry. We have one more from Philip. Yep, thanks. Can I connect in some way architecture as code with infrastructure as code? Like for instance, generate diagram which can be deployable. Wow. When we have our infrastructure, we can create diagrams for this infrastructure with, let me show you one more time, sorry. With Cloud Discovery tool. But your question, Philip, create diagram and next based on diagram, code of diagram, create, for example, cloud formation template. I don't know toolset, but idea absolutely genius. I like this idea. Let's start from high level diagrams and next prepare some template for infrastructure. Sounds absolutely great. Philip, many thanks for this question, but as of now, surely I don't know toolset for you. And we have one more question from Michal. Yep, thanks. Is there any control over layout of nodes? Yep, you need to use graph with attributes if you want to change spaces between nodes, for example, or how bold you want to use your arrows and lines. If you need granular control on layout, my idea is to use graph with attributes. And please remember, Python diagram, it's open source, free solution. If you're losing something for production, just quickly check solution like Illograph, for example, or structurized DCL, or yep, maybe this too. Or you can become a contributor, yep, and simplify layouts for diagram Python library. And we have some times for more questions. Philip, Michal, yep, thank you too. And as of now, we don't have questions. You know how to find me. So thank you very much for your time today. Great questions. Right answer for my questions and challenge with fake chat. Yep. And I hope see you on next edition of PyTech Summit. Thanks. Bye.